But again, go back to the home life. This is where my life changed. I got home and I realized I spent an awful lot of time coaching the bad at my house. Don't do this, don't do that. Hey, put that down, don't do this, don't do that. And I'd come home from being tired of pouring into everyone else's children that I felt it was my God-given right to sit down on the couch, have my drink or whatever it is, and relax. And you know what? My wife, as wonderful as she was kind of like a coachaholic wife. She would come in, and the kids would come running up to me, and they'd say, oh, Dad, Dad, and she'd say, hey, your dad's tired. He's helped a lot of people today. Let him rest for about 20 minutes. And my robotic kids would turn around, go to their deals like I wasn't even there. My wife would go into the kitchen and do her deal, and they'd all leave me alone. And that seems like a great thing because I need to unwind, but that is not what I'm designed for as a man of God and as a coach for God. I am designed to serve them. And again, yeah, we all need rest. But you know what? Rest on the way home. Rest in the car. You know, rest when you drive around the block before you pull in your house and clear your head. You know, and I think it's important that you understand when I get home, I'm there. Now, how do you serve your spouse? How do you serve your children? You know, and one of the things that we talk about is little things. If you're having trouble figuring out, if you talk to the coaches and you say, hey, how can you demonstrate this at home? Have them share ideas, and then if they're not coming up with anything, say, you know what, whatever you don't like to do from a chore standpoint, that's something you can do immediately. Like for me, for instance, I cannot stand loading the dishwasher and unloading it. Can't stand it. Can't stand folding clothes. I'll throw them in the washer. I'll even throw them in the dryer, but to fold the clothes drives me nuts. So what I'll do is I'll fold the clothes without anybody telling me to. Or I'll wash the dishes and then unload the dishwasher. It's not just enough to wash them. I'll have to finish what I started. And again, we create I just look for things that I can do, little things here and there. And again, that helps my spouse out. Okay, that helps even up the workload a little bit. It also shows my children that I'm willing to do things that they know I do not like to do. And again, I'm looking for opportunities. You know, we do this with CEOs and executives, and one CEO here in Colorado asked me one time, he raised his hand and he said, you know, does unloading the dishwasher count as a servant leadership idea? Absolutely. All right, whatever you can think of. Now, how does that relate to how Jesus lived? Well, Jesus lived a life to serve others. That's what he did. He empowered other people and helped other people. And again, that's what we're there for. That's what we're there to do. And if we model it, then the kids will copy it. And we know if you know, kids will do whatever they see their grown-ups do. And again, kids won't listen to teachers and parents, but they will listen to their coach. So if we model it and tell them why we're doing it, especially the kids today need to know why, it not only helps us win football games because we're unselfish, or basketball or baseball, but it also helps create a culture where people help people, and that's healthy. Well, as you turn on to the next page, you know, we talk a little bit about the equipment that a coach has. And we're going to wrap this up fairly quickly with the rest of this lesson, but it's important that, you know, we demonstrate constantly, you know, what is a servant leader, but we also need to keep feeding ourselves as servant leaders, because if all we do is give it away, we're going to get awful tired. And we need to feed ourselves, just as Jesus went away. And, you know, when you find those scriptures where Jesus went away, you know, the mobs were there, he healed people, they were excited, and he snuck away and prayed. He constantly did that. He knew he needed to do that to re-energize and to keep focused and tapped in and wired into God, his Father, to know what he wants him to do. So we talk to those coaches about what's their most valuable piece of equipment and why. Ask them, is the Bible important to them? Why is that important? Ask them, why is Jesus as a role model important? You know, and then talk about what does it mean to disciple and teach your players? And again, it goes back to modeling and the method that Jesus used here. Hey, a great book to tell your coaches about in this study is called The Master Plan for Evangelism by Dr. Robert Coleman. And that's a small little book, but it's all about discipleship and how he taught his disciples just through walking around, and how more is caught than is taught, you know, and how he's a hangout God. He wasn't this dictator kind of God. So Jesus was more concerned about what his disciples were going to be like 20 years from that, you know, as opposed to right now. And that's what we want our coaches to be thinking. Now, as we drop down here and we talk about how to take action, we're going to talk about don't be a dictator, be a facilitator. And that's why we call in these Bible studies, in these legacy builder groups, we don't want you to be a group leader. We want you to be a facilitator. Facilitate discussion. Get people excited and have fun with them. But, you know, Jesus was a facilitator. He made people think. He didn't just give them the answers. And so it's important here that we understand, you know, we want the perspective our coaches need to have is a long-term perspective. They need to understand that, envision what the players are going to be like, and your own children. Hey, as parents, I'm not concerned about my kids today. I mean, I know that. But again, I'm concerned about down the road. I'm concerned about what are they going to be like when they're fathers and mothers and wives and husbands. And that's what I want to really hone in on and give them the skills and empower them to get that. So let's finish up here. And if you notice, there's an interesting thing on the back of our bookmark that we put on here. And we got to get these coaches to redefine success. That's one of the traits of a legacy builder, is they redefine success. You know, success in coaching is not measured by wins and losses. Success in coaching is measured by what your players become. So we need to ingrain that in them, and that's what Jesus talks about. It's not about the law. It's about what those people become and how they impact future generations. That's what discipleship is, and that's what a legacy builder does. So part of that, though, is just having a vision for the future. And I need to tell you this final little story as we talk about long-term instead of short-term, and that is one of the things we did with our players, our senior class. I had taken over a program that hadn't won a lot of games, and we probably weren't going to win as many games that year as I wanted to anyway. So I needed to motivate them, but at the same time I wanted to instill a servant leadership attitude and a legacy attitude among them. The seniors knew that they were not going to be around for the fruit that they were going to lay the groundwork for. And what I mean by that is they're going to lay all the groundwork, and 2 or 3 years later we're going to probably win championships. Well, they're not going to be there, so what's in it for them? Well, one of the things that I talked to them about was, I told them, I said, guys, I want to put a plaque up on my wall that people will see for years and years to come, and I will not put a record underneath that plaque. It doesn't have anything to do with wins and losses. I'm going to put that plaque on my wall. It's going to have all your pictures up there, just you guys. And underneath it, I'm going to put an inscription that says, these are the men that changed this program forever. These are truly the legacy of this program. Now, I told them that in the beginning of the season, and I said, notice nothing hinges on the wins and losses. It hinges on what they teach the younger players underneath them about leadership. That's the whole deal. So that's just a little story I tell with them. And now to finish with the scripture memorization that we give the coaches, again, the homework for this week really is just to get them to start thinking long term. Every single time they talk to a kid, have them think long term. When they're at home, what kind of servant leadership activities can they do? Tell them, next week we're going to talk about what you did at home to bless your family and to bless your kids and your spouse. The memory verse again is Mark 10, 43 through 45. And that verse is, you see it up on the screen right now, not so with you. Instead, whoever wants to become great among you must be your servant. And whoever wants to be first must be slave of all. For even the Son of Man did not come to be served, but to serve, and to give his life as a ransom for many. Now, guys, I really hone in on those first 4 words, not so with you. These guys are going to be in a battle every day. Other people aren't doing it like them. Jesus knew that too, and he told the disciples, not so with you. We're going to be different. God bless you. We're going to talk next week about commitment to excellence and how the coach can discern what goals are the kind of goals God wants me to have and what kind are the goals that the world has, and how I can reach those godly goals and measure them. And that's important that they can measure them. So make it a great week, and I look forward to seeing you next week.